The scattergun approach from Nottingham Forest continues as yet another winger is being linked. Welcome to your Forest transfer news. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well and welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest transfer news. Coming up in today's video, we'll talk to you about yet another lone winger that Forest are after, who is an old flame that we tried to get when we got promoted. We'll talk to you about another club going in for Mangala. Worrall may need to brush up on his Turkish, and Niakate is coming home. And plenty of others in between. Please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And let's kick this off with the news story, which is about Maxwel Cornet. Maxwel Cornet, who Forest approached for back when we got promoted, and Burnley wouldn't want to sell him for less than whatever the price was. I can't remember, it was so long ago. Ended up going to West Ham. And hasn't really got the game time, mainly because his injury track record has been pretty horrific since he joined the Hammers. But now there is talks that Forest wants him and wants more wingers. But there's no real substance behind it, not in terms of the link, but in terms of the ideology of how this would work out. Because the talk from West Ham is they will not release him unless they get a replacement, as in Moyes. And they don't really need to take him off the wages. When it comes to West Ham on PSR, etc., they're not really as tight as Forest are. So it would just diminish from them an attacking option. But forgetting all that and forgetting the actual player itself, it is starting to make me very worried about the transfer strategy this window. I think we have a clear strategy, believe it or not. Forest want a striker, a backup one. They want at least one or two wingers, and they want a goalkeeper. Those are the 3 or 4 positions that we're working on. But it just seems when it comes to actually profiling players, either they're going off our YouTube videos or they're just going through Football Manager, putting the filters through and hoping for the best and seeing what's coming up. Because it doesn't seem like there's any connection or... how can I explain this better? When you look at other clubs, what they tend to do is basically agree everything with the player before they've even approached the club. And then when it comes to approaching the club, they've pretty much got a rough idea of what that club is, going to be willing to accept in terms of a fee or a loan fee or a permanent deal or what have you. And then the deals happen a lot smoothly. Now, I'm not saying it's that simple. Clearly, it is not. But it just seems like Forest have gone from Reina, agreed terms, couldn't agree with Dortmund what exactly they wanted. Then they jump to Forbes, couldn't get that one over because Ajax didn't want to do it. Then they're now jumping to Cornet. We talked about Ismail Sarr yesterday. It just seems they've just got this list. They're working it down, option A all the way down to option Z. And it seems that as we're getting towards the bottom of the list, those players still don't want to come to Forest. And the problem is what I said on the Footy Network channel. If you haven't watched that video where we talk about why January is so slow across the entire Premier League, go check it out. I'll leave a link at the end of this video and make sure you subscribe to it as well. But because of PSR, because of what's happened to Forest and Everton, a lot of clubs are scared to make any move. And with Forest being in the position they are, they actually need to sell first. And we're struggling to do that as well. We have over 40 players on our books. It's not sustainable to then bring in another 4 or 5. It's getting silly. As much as I love new shiny toys, it's getting to the stage now where even I'm scratching my head about the recruitment strategy. Yes, the positions are correct. Yes, a lot of the players we're being linked to, I do like. But it's just not sustainable. But what do you guys think about this Cornet link? Are you interested in him or not? My gut feeling says no way this is going to happen. I can't see Moyes getting rid of an attacking player. But get your thoughts in down below. Now, when Nuno was questioned in his presser yesterday, they did ask him, will it be more players going out than in? And he said basically patience. You will all get to find out. The player that seems clearly high on the get out list is Mangala. And it's starting to feel like it's Mangala who wants to go rather than the club that wants to release him. Marinakis is a huge fan of Mangala and doesn't want him to go. And the Forest as a club don't want him to go unless it's a perm deal or a deal with an obligation that's at the correct price. And that's why things fell through with the likes of Napoli. Napoli just got annoyed in the end and didn't want to basically continue with the deal and ended up getting Dendoncker instead. And now what we're finding is that Lyon from the French League are now showing an interest in Mangala. But they probably wouldn't know and have heard from the agents, etc., about where Forest are with this. The problem I see with this is that Lyon are struggling in the French League. And why would Mangala want to go from, a Premier League relegation battle, if you think we are in one, to one in the French League? Unless he's getting a huge pay up, I can't see it. So again, could he go to Lyon? Yes, French speaking, etc. It would sit in quite nicely. They got a few decent players. They're just having a really bad season. But again, this will come down to the deal. And Forest at some point are going to have to make some concessions. If they want to get Mangala off the payroll, if they want to get him with an obligation, they may have to lower their asking price to get it done. My personal preference is obviously that he stays. I think we got a lot more deadwood. I don't even class him as deadwood. That needs to go before he does. So I don't even see why this one's being prioritized. But the links are running out on Mangala and the time is running out as well. We're a couple of days now from the transfer window closing. And we've got so many players to get out the club. And I don't see Mangala as a priority. What do you guys think? Okay, let's just take a quick break from the transfer news to talk about some of our actual players. And I'm sure a lot of you already know this, but Ivory Coast went through on penalties yesterday against Senegal. And of course, the person who missed the penalty would be a Forest player in Niakate. But that in itself is kind of positive. We knew that one of the sets of players were going to be coming home. So it will be our Senegalese players that come back in Niakate and Chekiate. Or basically just Niakate, in my opinion. However, the poor guy was absolutely devastated when he missed his penalty, and I really hope he's mentally strong enough to brush it aside and kind of, understand that this happens in football. Someone's got to be the hero and someone's got to be the villain. And it was unfortunately his turn. He absolutely cracked it onto the post and no one else missed a penalty. But what I did love and why we got Sangare here in the bottom third is the way that Sangare consoled him after the match. It was such a nice moment to see fellow Forest player come up to him and console him and kind of take him down the tunnel. Niakate was obviously devastated when he was on the pitch, but as he was walking down the tunnel, it looks like Sangare did some good work and has settled him down. Now, Ivory Coast will go on. I believe their next match will be on Sunday, so he's not even going to be back in time, even if they went out for Forest's next match. It may not be until the Newcastle game or Bournemouth, whoever we've got in a couple of weeks' time, where we see Sangare. It almost feels like Sangare is the Mangala of last year. Every time you saw him coming into form, there'd be a suspension or there'd be an injury or, in this case, AFCON. And it's getting a little frustrating. If you can't tell, I'm a little frustrated today because I just want this transfer window done and I want to know who's coming in and I want our players back. And speaking of players that are coming back, we got Taiwo back and we've got Elanga back and Felipe back in training. However, everyone is getting way ahead of their station. Everyone is treating this as if they are ready to play against Arsenal. And, I had some fun with it on Twitter yesterday, but let's just listen to Nuno's words. And what Nuno said is that he's re-included them into the main training squad. Normally what will happen is players that are coming back from injury will train at side with the medical staff, straight line running, as Cooper would say. They wouldn't be doing diagonals or things like that. But Nuno, from what I understood, reading between the lines of what he said, has brought them in to, one, accelerate that progress, but also just to get them back in and amongst the players. Do I expect either of them to start tonight? Probably not. Felipe, definitely not. He won't even make the bench because Nuno said he's only had one session. In terms of Elanga, I think if I had to play devil's advocate, Elanga would be more likely to start than Taiwo. I think at best, though, we'll see both of them on the bench. And if you look at the under-23s, who, or was it 21s? I can never remember the age range now, who beat Derby in the 97th minute. Whatever team Forest put out against Derby, we just slap the sheep, don't we? But the likes of Asonga, Gardner, etc. were playing or involved in that squad yesterday. So you can read into that to say that they probably won't be on the bench for Forest against Arsenal. Therefore, maybe it's likely we will see Elanga and Taiwo on the bench for the Arsenal game tonight. But let's just be patient and trust in Nuno and see who he puts on the pitch tonight. But in general, there's some good news coming back through. A couple of AFCON players back, a couple of key players who've been injured pretty close to the return. Hopefully we see them on the bench tonight. But let's have some fun. Would you risk either of them tonight? A lot of people are saying that Taiwo has put on some timber, that he's no longer called Taiwo, he's Paiwo now. I've been reading some comments like that. Is it muscle or is it a little extra Christmas dinner on him? What do you guys think from the picture? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, let's get back to the transfer market and talk about yet another potential exit. It's one we've been talking about most of this window, and that, of course, is Joe Worrall. Excuse me. Now, Joe Worrall, who's been linked very heavily with Sheffield over the last couple of weeks. We've done all the memes on them. We can continue to do that because they are a joke of a club. However, Worrall may need to brush up on his Turkish now, as Besiktas is showing an interest in Joe Worrall. Now, what I think the hold up in the Worrall saga is that Forest don't want to loan him out. Forest want a straight sale on him. And with Sheffield unable to afford a fiver, it looks like if he is willing, there may be a potential suitor in the Turkish league. I just don't see it. I actually think Sheffield would suit Worrall a lot better. It's not too far from Nottingham. He'll get a couple of games in the Premier League before he has to go back to the Championship. I just think on both sides of, the deal here, it suits all parties if he was to go to Sheffield. So yes, there is a link to Besiktas, but if Besiktas want to pay the money, then he may have to go, because I don't think he's in Nuno's plans either. But that is an exit that looks like it may get over the line. Be it Besiktas, be it Sheffield, or be it whoever. I think Worrall, I'll be very surprised, shall I say, if Worrall stays this transfer window. Now, the McKenna stuff as well is interesting because that's gone very quiet. Both Celtic and Rangers were heavily chasing him, and that has died down as well. But he's another player that's going to need to be moved on for his sake to get game time, and obviously for Forest because he's only got 6 months on his contract. So it's either sell him now or lose him for nothing. But it's gone quiet. This transfer window is about to come to the boiling point. We will keep you posted as it all goes through. So make sure you got your notifications on. And don't forget, we got the small matter of Arsenal tonight. We'll have the watch along for you as always this evening if you're not going to the match. If you are, make sure you say hi to the FFTV boys who will be down there. But that brings you up to date currently with your transfer news. If you haven't already, please do hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And please go show us some love on the Footy Network. Make sure you subscribe to that as well, as we're looking to grow our second channel. I'll leave a link for it in the end screen. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tonight. Come on, you Reds.